So as I told you before, this is two sides of the same coin. Only thing is chapter 15, very easy chapter, is about finding the cost of large items. Now, we're gonna find the cost of small items. And when we say small items, we mean like very small items. For example, nails, thumbtacks, staples, Band-Aids, crayons, everything you see up here. These are things that are very identical, low cost, mass produced all at once, and cost really can't be traced to one item at a time. Because normally you're making probably 1,000 a minute or something, a massive amount a minute. And so we've got to in accounting, we have a system to estimate the cost of each of these. Now, this is a comparison between job order and costing and process costing. As I said before, job order is custom. And what we're going to see in chapter 16, process is repetitive. It's not custom. Nobody comes in and says, I want a custom made thumbtack. Doesn't happen, right? As a result, job order is very heterogeneous products, whereas process is homogeneous. All of them look the same. Job order is low production, process is high production. Job order has high product flexibility. They can make different types of products at all the time. Process operations, no, they're all gonna be the same. So as a result, the last part is high standardization in process operations. Low standardization at best, medium in job order job order cost. This is flow again. I've already shown you this, so I'm not gonna beat it through your head. But if you can see in 2 chapters, they're showing you flow 3 times. So it's a very important topic. It's gonna be on your midterm, so pay attention. Now, how do we find cost of very small products? We use a system called EUP. EUP, for example, look at your screen here. If you had 2 half cups, in accounting, we would call this 1 EUP. 1 EUP. So it looked like this. And it just says, hey, when you see EUP, that should signal to you that, hey, it's not necessarily that I'm gonna go into the inventory and I'm gonna see 1 cup of water. I could see 4 quarter cups of water. I could see just in this example, just like this example, 2 half cups of water. I can see, 10 cups of water that are 10th full. Now you must answer in the positive. Do you understand that concept? If you understand, give me a thumbs up. All right, I think that's the majority. All right. If you didn't get that, ask a question. I mean, it's a simple concept, but that's going to be the majority of where you're going with this. Okay. So when you're manufacturing something large, normally the amount of materials and the amount of labor that are used to create that product are added in different amounts in different stages in the production. I'm going to use the example that you have in front of you, but I'm going to use an example of, let's say, making Hershey's chocolate. When you make a Hershey's chocolate, cocoa, sugar, milk chocolate, normally in that process, the very beginning is where the majority of your product is going to be used. Is there, everybody with me? So what they'll do in stage one, they'll put the cocoa, the milk chocolate, the milk, the sugar, all the way going to back. The workers will hit a button, they'll start stirring it, and then they just move on, right? Because there's little to no, I mean, maybe 25% labor being used in that part of the process, whereas probably 40 to 60% of the materials being used in that, right? So that's stage one. Once the cocoa has been mixed down and is ready to be molded, the workers will come, they'll move into another section where that chocolate will be put in a mold. So it's molded and the little cellophane is put on there with the little tag. That's stage two. At that point, you pretty much, it's a Hershey's Kiss. So materials wise, you've used all the materials, but the labor still hasn't really done most of its work. Most of the labor comes into the third stage. Now, once it's molded, it's got the cellophane and the kiss, and they put it in a bag, and then those bags get put in the boxes. So most of your employees are working on putting it in boxes. Now, every now and then you might have an engineer that might come look at the machine, make sure it's working properly, test, a scientist might come in and test to make sure that, the temperature is the right temperature and it's looking right. But the majority of your labor is on the third stage where, the product is being put in a box. However, there's no extra materials there, right? By that time, all the materials have basically been introduced to the product. Does everybody understand?
So the packaging for the chocolate, would that be like an indirect material in that case?
No, it depends. It would probably be direct, but then it depends, right? Like, if it's like, how they can, it depends. It definitely depends on what type of package. But let's say that the majority would be direct. Great question, Liam. Anybody else? Go ahead, Thomas.
Oh, well, now that I'm thinking about packaging, the whole process is based on the product itself, right? Not necessarily shipping and sales, unless the product is in a container.
Yeah, the majority of it is about making the product. When he was talking about packaging, nowadays you can have customized packaging, right? Like it says, happy birthday. You know how you might see a company buy like their own run of Hershey's Kisses for Christmas, and it say, thank you for your service, Google employees, something of that nature. So sometimes you might get something specialized like that. And I don't know if they would classify that as direct or how they would even feel about that, right? So that's when stuff gets different. And then when you're saying packaging, like, does that count the box? All those types of things. And nowadays, packaging, so it's very, it's very, very scientific process. You got scientists working on packaging now, which is amazing to me. All right. Now, I said that I just wanted to get that picture in you guys' head about how the process works. So I'm setting that up for, all right, so how do we figure out the cost? Now, I'm gonna throw a lot of numbers at you on this, but most of the time when you're doing this, the numbers will already be in front of you. That makes sense? The numbers will be in front of you. You're not going to be doing much calculation here. You'll be moving numbers around. We're going to talk about reconciliation. You did a reconciliation accounting to 11. So this isn't complicated work. Does that make sense? This is pretty much just taking data and kind of shifting it. So here you've got a production data report. You got beginning inventory is 30,000. The beginning inventory of units of product is 30,000. They were 100% complete as far as direct materials and 65% complete as when it comes to direct labor. That's going to be important in a second. That goes back to the EUP idea. Units started in April are 90,000. Units completed and transferred out are 100,000. If a product is complete and transferred out, then that means it is 100%. It has 100% of the direct materials and 100% of the direct labor already in it. Is everybody with me with that? That's going to be key in a second. Ending inventory is 20,000 units, 100% complete as far as direct materials, 25% complete as far as direct labor. So the beginning inventory cost, the direct material cost is $3,300. Direct labor is $600 and $720 is overhead. They're going to give you this data. So this isn't, nothing's being calculated here. You'd add these together to get the total beginning cost of $4,620. Current period cost, the direct materials are $9,900, direct labor is $5,700, and the overhead is $6,840 to give you total cost for the period of $22,440. Add the current period cost to the beginning inventory cost, you get $27,060. Keep this $27,060 in mind, because what they're trying to do, what they're going to start doing is first, and this is where they're just making sure, it's like checking their work, making sure they have the right numbers there. So what you're seeing here, they're going to add the beginning inventory and the units starting. And then they'll add the units transferred out and the ending units to see if these two numbers reconcile. They're just checking their numbers to make sure they got the right numbers. Where they get this 30,000 and 90,000, it's 100,000, 20,000, they got it right off of here. 30,000, 90,000, 100,000, 20. Everybody with me? They didn't take numbers from anywhere special. They just got it right off the first data sheet. And so now they know, okay, they've got the right total number of units. So then the next thing they're going to do is change this into EUPs. So if you remember off the initial data sheet, and they're just taking this 100 and this 20,000, but it was 100% completed for materials and 100% ending inventory was 100% for materials. But for labor, ending inventory was only 25% for labor, and it's 100% for material labor here, transferred out. So what they're going to do is going to take the 100,000, 120,000. This is for materials here. This is for materials. So here it's going to be 100% for both. But when it comes to labor and overhead, remember everyone, whatever happens to labor is going to happen to overhead. Why? Because overhead is a function of direct labor. So if direct labor is only 25%, then overhead has to be 25%. As a result, we're only going to take 25% of 20,000 and we'll get 5,000 units. So we have 100,000, 100% times 100,000. You got 100,000 for the transferred out, completed and transferred out. But for ending inventory, we only have 5,000 units. So when we look, direct materials has 120,000 units. That's how we're going to calculate it. They have 120,000 EUPs, but direct labor and the factory overhead have 105. So now we're going to take that and use it to calculate the equivalent, how it costs per EUP. And what we're going to do is go back to this early slide, here. We're gonna take this direct materials plus this direct materials, right? You get 13,200. We're gonna take this labor and this labor, you should get about what, 6,300. And the fact, this factory overhead and this factory overhead, you should get about 7,560 or something like that. And that's what you've got here. Oh, I got them all right, 7,560, 6,000. And you're gonna take these and divide it by your equivalent units that you just calculated to get the cost per unit. For direct materials, it's 11 cents. For direct labor, it's 6 cents. And for direct factory overhead, it's 7.2 cents. And with that information, we're going to reconcile. And what we're doing in reconciliation is we'll count for the costs incurred and assigning unit costs and make sure that the numbers are right. And so what you're doing here, take the beginning inventory, $4,620, plus the what's incurred, $22,440, we give you $27,060. How did we get this? Remember, I said, remember this number. Just $27,060. So that's where we got it from. Now, in the second spot, we're going to take costs transferred out. All we're doing is taking 100,000 EUPs times the 11 cents that we just calculated, 11 cents here. 6 cents here, 7.2 cents here, times what was transferred out, 100,000, 100,000, 100,000. Then the second time, we're going to do 20,000, 5,000, 5,000 multiplied by cost per equivalent unit. So for transferred out, you get 24,200. Here's the 20,000 times 11 cents for per unit for direct materials, give you 22,200. There's the 5,000 units times 6 for direct labor, times 6 cents per unit gives you $300. And then factory overhead has 5,000 units times 7.2 cents is $360. Add those together, you get $2,680, $2,860, sorry. Add these two, you get $27,060. And that is the end of that. A little beyond the perp, then they're gonna do flow again. Well, they ended flow here. A little bit beyond the purview, but I'll show you this. This is process cost summary. If you see here, direct materials and direct labor or conversion costs are here, 100,000, 100,000, 20,000 for direct materials, 5,000. This is what we calculated. And then they'll put the beginning process here, cost this period, add them together. The equivalent units gives you the cost per equivalent unit. This is nothing but, the bottom part is nothing but a takeoff. This is the bottom, and that was the top, right? And this is the bottom, and that's what you're seeing here. All right, questions, comments, or concerns?